Hello friends, welcome to the course of APM. I'm Pawan here on behalf of ITeLearn today to drive you through the course of uh, the test automation framework on the iOS platform. So today, as a part of introduction, I would like to give you a few key words which you should be aware of whenever you want to start uh, to think about automating the applications on which you are going to develop on iOS. So in this course throughout, like I will be just giving a short introduction. So if you have gone through the videos of the APM and its architecture on the Android side, like I have the course which I have given on the Android side. So if you go through them, you will get a clear idea about the APM and its architecture. So it's pretty similar when we work on the iOS platforms also, right? So I won't be covering the architecture point here in this course, as most of the framework design and uh, the things related to it I have explained in the videos where IPM with Android, this course which I have taken off, right? So to start with, so in this course, mostly I would show you how to set up the softwares which are required as part of test automation framework for APM on the Mac OS. First of all, the Mac OS is a mandatory thing, which of course demands you to have a MacBook uh, where you will be running OS X OS, like for the current scenario in this course, like I have a 10.0 higher version to it. Okay. uh, Before that, like you need to have a JDK installed on it along with that Xcode. So Xcode is a framework, or I would say a platform which helps you to build the applications and deploy it on the mobile devices like the iPhone or a simulator. So this is a much needed software. Along with that, you need to install command line tools, and then with the command line tools, you also have the SDKs that come with the framework. And later to it, you can have two options as to how you want to run the APM as a server, right? So APM is nothing but it is a JavaScript uh, framework which actually hosts itself to take the requests coming from the test automation scripts and redirect them to the mobile devices to drive the particular applications. So a UI app is nothing but uh, I would say it's a simple wizard window where you can set particular configurations with which you want to run the APM server. However, you can also have the APM running as a service in the form of command line instructions. So you can host the APM server with the command line specifying the special desired capabilities to it. So all these things I will show you in the course going further. Now in this course, mostly I will be showing you on a real iPhone device where I have currently a 5 version, and it has a 9.3.1 OS in it. So iOS version is 9.3.1. That's why I have used a SDK of 9.3.1. If you see in the point here, so it's 9.3.1 SDK, which comes in the command line tools of 7.3, and the same can be driven from Xcode 7.3. So the versions of Xcode command line tools should be in proportionate with what iOS versions you are going to work with, right? So Python is a base language, along with which I will be writing the test scripts, and the Python client. These are the language bindings that are provided by APM, which we will be using to write the test scripts. Okay. So from where will I get all these softwares, right? So if you see, if you go and just simply Google saying I want Java SDK, so you will land up in this page, and so Mac OS, any 7 or higher version would do. So once you download this, simply make sure you are downloading a DMG file. Okay. So once you download it and install it, you will have a JDK as a part of your environment, and then comes the Xcode. Okay. For the Xcode, yeah, for Xcode, where all you will get the software, right? First, you have to make sure, like, which OS are you targeting? Okay, which OS version of the uh, mobile device? Like, if I have an iPhone with 931, then for which Xcode and suitable command line tools I have to install is something you have to figure out. You can just simply do a Google and you will get a desired, like you can get the results as to which version of Xcode is suitable to work with, right? So for 931, we came across saying that 7.3 is a perfect version Xcode which I should use. So I downloaded this Xcode 7.3 and I installed it. Okay. So if you see, it includes Xcode IDE iOS simulator. That's why you need a Xcode. So iOS simulators will have all the supporting uh, OS versions which that can work with Xcode 7.3. Okay. So once you install Xcode, that is not sufficient for you right now. So you need to install a command line tool which brings in the OS X SDK frameworks, right? So you need these frameworks when you are working with the simulators or the iPhones. Okay, so these are the two uh, vital components as part of your setup infrastructure. Okay, now next, once you have all them installed, then I will show you in the courses further how to deal with them as to set up the things for your test automation. Okay, just I'm driving you through the links where all you can download. Make sure you are on the official website of the Apple. Okay, so developer.apple.com and downloads. uh, this is the link where you have to log in with your Apple ID. If you don't have the Apple ID, I would suggest you to create Apple ID and log in with it. These tools are easily available for you to download. Okay, so once you are on this page, select the Xcode, select the command line tools. Okay, once you are done with this, uh, then you come and come to this website, and simply, if you have Brew installed, or if you don't want APM actually in the form of command line format to be run, then I won't suggest you to follow these steps, but simply download their app. So if you say download APM, right, it will simply give you the link saying where all you want to download this link. Okay, so so once you download that DMG file, you will have something like APM. This is how the APM UI app looks like. Okay, for me currently I have installed 131 version, but you can have the latest one, 14.13 that you can install. Okay, so I would suggest you to install both the UI app also and with the uh, command line also, because going further in the course I will explain you the significance. Okay, why you need UI app and also why you need uh, the command line to interface, right? So now the thing is, make sure you have a brew uh, component installed on your MacBook. Once you are once you are done with its installation, simply follow these steps. Okay, you might face some problems while installing the clients because this is not much robust as of now. Okay, so once you are done with these two steps, I will show you going further how to run the APM with command line. Okay, now once you are uh, so when you so there are two ways with which you have installed APM. Okay, you have downloaded the app. Okay, and that runs as a UI app. In the background it runs the APM engine itself, and uh, this is something which I suggested you as a part of command line. The latest version of APM supports only the command line way of running the APM, the highest version of APM. So that's why I am recommending you to do the npm install. Make sure you have a npm also as a component installed on your Mac OS. Okay, so if you figure out the ways with which you can install npm, then with this command you can install the uh, APM service. Okay, so now APM is something which I showed you. Now next is as a part of development environment, you need Eclipse, right? So you can set up the Eclipse environment. I will also show you the same going further how to set up the Eclipse. If you have gone through the videos uh, uh, on the APM with the Android, if you go through those videos, you will get to know it's similar way of setting up the Eclipse environment with Python as a programming language. Okay, and APM uh, as your framework in it. Okay, so similarly, you have to install with pip. So pip is nothing but a Python utility. Once you have a pip, once you have a Python in your environment, you will have the pip utility that comes within. So I would suggest if you go to this page, you will get the installation instructions. If you simply do pip install, it will bring all the APM client bindings into your Python side packages. Okay, so not much to worry about where it goes and where it deploys the binaries. Just install pip. Sorry, you just do the installation of APM Python client with pip, and you get the respective binaries once you start writing the code. Okay, so these are the options with which you can install pip. If pip is not working, then you can actually download their zip and then do the Python setup install. This is another way with which you can install. Okay, else if you are not able to access the zip, you can simply clone their environment, clone the Git repository where the Python client binaries are the place where the source code of the binaries are. So you can again download them and simply do a Python setup install. So in this way you will have the respective all the you have all the Yeah. So in this way, you have all the softwares which are required as a part of a prerequisite before you set up the infrastructure. You install all these things as part of your environment, right? So I showed you the links from where you can download the JDK. Then OS X is a default Mac OS. You don't need to set up anything when you have a Mac OS. It's just the OS and the version which I wanted to suggest you before you start setting up the infrastructure. And these are the softwares and their respective links from where you can download. I showed you. Okay. For simulator, you need to have a Xcode. So that's the thing. Okay, so this is again a similar infrastructure diagram which I showed you on the uh, uh, on one of the slide during the course of APM with Android. So on the same lines, here you don't need to have a Genymotion software which only runs the Android simulators. But in our case, for simulators to work with, we need to have a Xcode as a software which we need to set up, right? Now these are the diagram itself looks very pretty simple. So Xcode, if we read from the Xcode side, it is used to uh, set up the project where you have the source code of the application which you want to actually test and deploy it on the device. So what actually Xcode is supposed to be doing is it will build it will build the application for you which you want to test, and it will deploy that application and install it on the iPhone or iPad or iPod device. So these can be the virtual environments like simulators, or actually you can do them on the real iPhone device. Okay, so this is the setting up the application before you start testing, for which you need the Xcode, right? So that is much needed software. uh, and later and once you have the application installed on the device, if you see uh, the Appium test scripts, this is one of the component which I mentioned. So this is nothing but these are the test scripts written using the Appium Python client bindings. So we say that, okay, you find the element, then you click here, all these instructions we have written in the Appium test scripts. So these test scripts will talk with the Appium server, and the Appium server will redirect these instructions to the iPhone device. So as at this point of time, this is a simple flow that you should always be keeping in your mind. Okay. Right. So for today, I will uh, like I will show you what exactly the Xcode is, okay, and how we can actually uh, how we can actually build an application and install it on the iPhone device. Okay, a short introduction I will give you for this today's session about Xcode. In the next session, I will show you the complete end-to-end installation, building of the software in the Xcode and deploying it on the device. So once you have a Xcode installed, you can find it in the applications, okay, which will run here for you. Okay. Now if I go on any okay, in Xcode, what I have done actually is I want to test UI catalog application. Okay, so this is the application which runs on the iPhone device, and I will show you different UI actions to be performed on this UI catalog application. Okay, so just I wanted to show in this today's session how Xcode looks like. Okay, and I will in tomorrow's session I will show you on the real device. Okay, so for today we will stop here. Okay, thank you and have a nice day, and see you in the next session.